Thank you for asking me to be here and to talk about the Talbot Catalogue Raisonné, which I'm working on at the moment. My name is Brian Liddy, and I'm a research assistant based out at Raisonné at BDLSS. BDLSS, I'm sure you know, stands for the Bodleian Digital Library Systems and Services, and BDLSS is committed to and supports GLAM, but I was maybe thinking it might be more obvious if, to people that was the case if they changed their name to the Digital Imaging Supporting Connectivity Oxford, and then it could be called GLAM Disco. I'm not sure how much my colleagues would appreciate that, but so the Talbot Catalogue Raisonné project, as I only have 5 minutes, I'm going to do a very quick skim across the very top of the project. I would recommend that you go online and spend as much time on there as you possibly can. It will be a much more rewarding experience. I'm going to take it for granted that you maybe know what a catalogue raisonné is. I mean, basically it's a resource often used by art historians, usually dedicated to painters and sculptors and artists. And there aren't so many catalogue raisonnés dedicated to photographers. So this is one of the most important that there are. As you can see, the project was launched officially August 2014, but the website didn't go live until February 2017, and there was a lot of work being done in that time to obviously to get the website before it could go live. Talbot, in case you're not familiar with his work, is a photographic pioneer. His dates that he was born in 1800, died in 1877. He's best known perhaps for coming up with what was essentially the photographic negative from which multiple positive prints could be generated. And really until digital photography came along in the late 1990s, that was really at the core of photography. Really, nothing. That essential idea didn't really change until digital came and swept it all away. This is a screen grab from the website, and it shows on the left a negative generated simply by taking a leaf and placing it on top of a piece of sensitized paper, exposing it to sunlight, which then gives you an inverted shadow of the leaf, and then that piece of paper can then be used and laid against a second piece of paper, sensitized in the same way, laid out in the sun, and you get a reversal positive print, which is essentially what became the guiding principle for photography until digital came along. And so Talbot is, in that sense, is a pioneer. This is just to give you an idea of the scale of the task that was in front of us. Professor Larry Schaff spent about 40 years crisscrossing the globe. We think there are an estimated 20,000 photographs by Talbot and his circle, spread across many countries and cultural institutions. Major owners include the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, the John Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles, the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, as well as the Bodleian Library here itself. There are a lot of major private collections also, and the single largest collection is in the National Science and Media Museum in Bradford. They hold about 7,000 Talbot photographs, positives and negatives, but our Talbot project goes right down to collections which perhaps hold only a single Talbot photograph, print or negative, or maybe just a handful of print or negatives. So it really is an attempt to be completely exhaustive, even though it crisscrosses the entire globe. So this is, I don't know if you can see, but it might be a bit indistinct, but this again is just to give you an idea of the scale of the images that we were being fed from the owners, those 200 owners from all over the world. And you can see I've concentrated on, I've chosen specifically for today photographs of Oxford that Talbot took in the 1840s. But please don't think that that means that the website only contains photographs of Oxford. It truly doesn't. It truly doesn't. But it was a mammoth task gathering that Larry spent 40 years crisscrossing. Oh, that's me done already. We crowdsourced Bristol. People, when we put photographs online, we were told, oh, we can identify that street, so that building. A photograph of the Ashmolean. We have somebody who's an expert in Oxford who has kept us right on what photographic views we have of Oxford. His name is Simon Murison-Bowie. Thank you, Simon, for all the help that you've given us. Stephen Harris, at the herbarium, yes, has kept us, has identified many of the plant subjects and given us their Latin names. We've had art historians have identified paintings. Many of these had descriptive titles before the project launched, but now we have artists' names and titles. And Anne Compton, of a similar online resource, has identified many photographs of sculptures before and after, and given us lots of data. So thank you, Anne. And Nicholas Molyneux of Historic England has kept us up to date with architectural buildings that he's identified. Just a photograph of Talbot took of the Bodleian from the roof in the 1840s. And just say thank you. And please do spend some time on the website. It really is. It has changed everybody's ideas of Talbot. If you were relying on an exhibition or a book dedicated to Talbot, then you would get a very staid and probably boring idea of what Talbot's work is like. An hour spent on the website, I would say, is more akin to spending time in an archive, looking through original photographs. We don't make any connoisseurial distinctions. If photographs are faded, torn or creased, if they're by Talbot, it doesn't matter. They get given equal precedence. And so, yeah, thank you very much.